like you said, you just want them to talk. How do you?
Yeah.
I know that you don't have a checklist, and maybe you don't have a system in mind. You just ask and they answer.
Yeah.
But how do you get them to actually talk? Because I work with engineers, right? A
Yeah.
lot of times engineers don't want to talk. Maybe
Yeah.
you're in a different industry, so it's a different experience. But how do you get them to actually start that 5-minute monologue or 2-minute monologue?
Sure. Well, this is something that I actually kind of learned during, the pandemic and working from home and just being able to be at home. My wife's working at home from as well, and listening to how she's not in sales, she's not in tech, she's in the public health world, but listening to how she like runs her team meetings and meetings with the research partners that she works with and the stakeholders. And she's just really good at making everybody feel comfortable and welcome in that meeting. And so she'll, start the conversation. And as people are coming in, she's welcoming everyone. Ramzi, welcome. How's it going? What happened last night? All these just basic questions of just being a good human and just trying to make everybody feel comfortable that they're there and see what's going on. And then of course you'll get to the business of the day when the time's right. But just that environment that I watched her listen through the door, her create, I was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it, right? And I kind of just started to adopt some of that, and it felt a little weird at first because it wasn't comfortable for me. That's not how I ran my meetings. I was very much like a little bit like get to the point kind of thing. But once I sort of just relaxed and said, all right, we're humans here, we're going to spend an hour together, let's chat, it just changed the tone of everything and made it easier for me too.
I love it and I hate it at the same time, mainly because you just highlighted something that I did wrong today, like a couple of hours ago. Like I had lunch, tired, I didn't feel like talking. I didn't set up the call, somebody else set up the call, and then he was driving at the same time,
Sure.
So he asked me to take lead. And we had 6 people from our end, and the first person joined from the customer side. And okay, thank you for joining. Are we waiting on anybody else? Yes. All right, how about I introduce myself when everybody's here?
Sure.
And then we proceeded to sit in silence for the next few minutes.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. Well,
yeah,
9 years. You'd think I know that. Ask them a question, right? Just
Yeah.
hey, who are you? What do you do? Why are you
Yeah.
here? Or what did you do last night?
Yeah.
And so that part, I got better as the conversation went along.
Yeah.
But you just highlighted something that, like, you know what? Maybe I should have. I messed that one up, and that's
Well,
it's
and it can be really, I mean, some of those conversations, especially if it's a new team that you haven't talked to before and you don't know anything about their personalities, it can be a little bit awkward for everybody. They may not even know why they're there, right? Sometimes they have very limited information, especially if you're waiting for like a manager to show up and it's the rest of the team or whatever. And so one of the things that I always do is, I mean, and I write about this on LinkedIn as well. Like I'm a little bit of an open book in terms of like bringing my own personal life into the work conversation. So if it feels like, all right, I ask, hey, I'm welcoming you, and you're, quiet, and you say, oh, thanks, and then you just sit there and don't say anything. And I say, oh, how are things going? And you say, oh, fine. Like, the kind of one-word answers. Okay, I'm kind of reading that situation, being like, all right, they're not proactively offering things up. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe it was a rough night. Who knows what the case is? I'm going to tell them about my trip to visit some friends down in Mexico City last week. They may not want to hear it, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about this amazing coffee cafe we found and this coffee drink they put tonic water in with cold brew, which sounds gross, but it was delicious. Okay. And suddenly they're like, oh yeah, I've been to Mexico City once, or whatever the case is. But I sort of just start to babble a little bit and tell some fun personal stories, or fun or not, just some personal stories about what's going on. And that helps, I think. At least I think it does.
Yeah, I mean, so there's that option in my mind. I would think it's like, all right, maybe they just don't enjoy talking, and I should respect that and shut up, right? And you never know which, like, your method was probably better than shutting up, because at least you got them to say something.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess lesson, like, again, 9 years into this, and I'm still. That's why I love these podcasts, because I get to learn those sort of things. Maybe I should have some stories lined up in case of emergency, I guess.
Well, fortunately, we're back to like the theme of like humans being humans. As a human, you have stuff that has happened this morning and yesterday and the day before and over the weekend and with your kids and all kinds of stuff that that ultimately you can pull from if you feel like there's sort of a little bit of an awkward pause. But you know, to be friendly and welcoming, and sometimes people don't want to talk, and that's okay too. And
Yeah.